just you and I.
All right, now we're going to be talking about the cloud deployment models. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the 4 cloud deployment models and what's the business case for using each. Not every model is right, depending on what kind of business you have, its requirements in terms of security and costs. We're going to get into that. And that ties into some of the benefits and limitations of each model. Some grant you more control over security, some are more affordable, and then others have less responsibility involved for security, but might require more due diligence on the vendor providing them. Let's get into the models. All right, first up, the public cloud. The public cloud, as its name implies, is available to anyone. Any business or individual that wants to purchase hosting services on the public cloud is able to do so. The main benefit of this service is that it is cheap. Usually, because it's utilizing shared resources, it is the most cost-effective choice when hosting data in the cloud, or hosting anything in the cloud for that matter. And what you gain in terms of cost, you kind of lose in terms of control, and it introduces new risk related to multi-tenancy as well as data segregation, and you don't have the same level of control in terms of maintaining security over elements that are in the public cloud. Our next one, the private cloud. The private cloud, this infrastructure is reserved for one organization. It may be managed by the organization or the cloud provider, and it can have sort of different flavors. The hardware may belong to the organization and be on-premise or off-premise. It could be the organization's hardware that is protected and maintained in the provider's data center. This model provides the greatest amount of control over security, over administration. However, it is also the most expensive because the provider is potentially giving up the availability to make money by utilizing the shared resources in their in their data center. All right, hybrid cloud. This is really a mix and match of any of the 3 models used together, and it's basically linking them in a way that enables data sharing and use of applications. The hybrid cloud also kind of refers to instances where an organization may host production in an on-premise data center, but leverage the cloud for backup solutions. So in addition to the cloud models, it may be pairing together an on-premise and cloud-based solution. Community cloud. This is an interesting flavor of the cloud. The cloud architecture is shared by several organizations or it supports a specific community. Examples of this are sort of like research institutions, or the federal government actually has a dedicated cloud because of its compliance needs. The organizations that work or share the community cloud usually have the same mission, security requirements, policies, or compliance considerations. It's overall managed by the organizations themselves or a third party, and it can be located on-premise or off-premise in terms of its administration. All right, let's take a look at a quiz question. An organization hosts its production environments on-premise, but leverages a dedicated cloud deployment for its backup and disaster recovery needs. What cloud deployment model is this? Is it a private cloud? Is this a public cloud? Or is this a hybrid cloud solution? If you said hybrid cloud, you were right. I sort of tried to trick you by saying that they had a dedicated production environment that was in the cloud, implying that although it is maybe a private cloud used for disaster recovery and backup, because it's hosted on-premise as its primary production environment, it is using the cloud in concert with an on-premise solution. That's why it's a hybrid cloud model. It's not a public cloud model because there's really only one company utilizing these cloud resources. They aren't in a multi-tenant environment. In summary, we talked about the 4 cloud deployment models, talked about the use cases for that. The private cloud, if you're just trying to do something that's cost effective and doesn't have any strong regulatory requirements over the data that's being placed in the cloud, the public cloud may be worth the risk when it comes to lack of control. You want the private cloud, you're going to pay a pretty penny, but you get the most in terms of control and security. Hybrid is a mix of either on-premise as well as all 3 of the cloud deployment models. And community, is a potentially decentralized cloud from an administrative perspective, but it's when an organization or a provider provides resources to a specific group based on their requirements. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed learning about the cloud models, and now we'll move on.